back to my channel. I am going to be showing you the things I've colored and started coloring in the month of April. So I'll start firstly with my works in progress and then move to my completed works. I have a handful of books this month, and I think that I've done relatively well, if I show you. So that's what I've dipped in and out of this month, and yeah, I think it's coming along nicely. So my first work in progress is in Mermaid Europa, which is our double page spread here. And in April we went and completed the background and completed the left side of the page, and all that's left is the right side. So I had started filming a second video for the right side of this double page spread, and then my camera capacity was full and I had to sort it all out. So I have yet to continue with the tutorials, but we're making progress slowly but surely, and I am really looking forward to when this double page spread is going to be complete, because I have had enough of it. I've had my fill of it and I'm quite eager for it to be done now. So that is my mini circles coloring page in Midnight Masquerade. Here I've used Prismacolors. I've used the same pencils throughout the entire double page spread, so to keep it uniform and cohesive. If you look on the left hand side, I've used some metallic glitter pen. This is just a paint pen over here and over there, so it gives it a nice little shimmer to it. And I also use the paint pens up here in the little snowflakes over there, and also on the bubbles. Everything else is pencil and white Posca pen or white Signo pen. So overall, I'm very happy with how it's come out. I think the choice of background works really well to just pull everything together. So that is my Mermaid Europa by Rita Berman. Next up is Goddesses by Martin Noble. If I just pull you out a bit. And I must say, I think this is one of my favorite books this year. I really do enjoy coloring in this book. I do find that the paper does not really allow for many layers, so the best way to get depth of color I found on this paper is by pressing relatively hard and then building the layers up slightly from there. But it's very thin, it's like printer paper, so I don't get as much, I can't layer and build up the layers as well. So my completed work is this page over here, and I decided that I wanted to do Norse mythology this month, so I've gone and done Frigg, which is the Norse goddess and wife to the powerful Odin. Unfortunately, I made a mistake with this bird. He was supposed to be brown like this one, but I got confused with the bird shape and interpreted more as a raven than as a bird of prey. So, and this is supposed to be Odin, so I did this bird and these two birds right, but this one I didn't get right. Everything is Prismacolor. I think the hair I did with polychromos. Then for the background, also Prismacolor, but I went over it with Dovecraft glitter glue. And for these yellow stars, I used a neon gel pen and white Sakura jelly roll for the stars, the highlights, and white Posca as well. I also highlighted the dress in the white Sakura jelly roll. And because of the quality of the paper, I wasn't able to build up the depth of the folds as well as what I have done in the past. And I also find white is quite a tricky color of fabric because you need to use your grays and your browns or your blue grays to create the shadows. But if you use too much, it can look gray and brown instead of white. So it is quite a tricky fabric to color. On the stars, I used a gold paint pen, and then I went over it with Dovecraft glitter glue. And for her necklace, I used Dovecraft Pearl 3D effects. So it's got a nice little sheen to it, which I quite like. I think the sky is one of my favorites, and her hair. I also like the color combination I got for the valleys and the hills, as well as the night sky. And then I wanted to do both pages complete, but ended up enjoying this one more. So my whip is Iden, the Norse goddess of youth, and what I'm doing is trying to take similar colors, move it onto here, and I'm practicing a cloudy background. So I don't often do clouds, and I thought it would be fun to just try my hand at it and experiment. So for this, I'm mainly using Prismacolors, and I want to complete this page in in May. So that is what I have done in Goddesses by Martine Noble. And in The Flower Year by Leila Dooley, I continued with my coloring something floral in this book every month. And for April, I did do a few pictures. I did start this butterfly using polychromos, and then I just got bored, so I packed it away. And I moved on to these two pages, and I'm using just normal tracing paper folded over the page to protect the illustrations. So on the left hand side we have bluebells and wild garlic. I used polychromos for this page, and I used grays to create the depth for the wild garlic. Again, I was trying not to go overly gray and take away from the whiteness of the wild garlic, but the risk of doing that is not creating enough depth, so it may not look like it's actually colored. And then the bluebells. Then on the right hand side I use Prismacolors, and this is the common dog violet, so I got a picture, and I will include the pictures I reference on the side here for you, so you can see what I was referring to when I was doing the my colorings. And overall I'm quite happy. I think the leaves are some of my best leaves. I'm not too sure about the flowers themselves, but I think they came out all right, and I'm quite proud of how they turned out. I used a bit of gel pen on the stalks of the flowers going around, just to get it done, and also to just create a bit of variety with all the greenness, so that each element was connected to the whole picture but also distinct. So those are my two floral pages in Leila Dooley. The Flower Year by Leila Dooley. I then pulled out Coloring Heaven Mermaid Special with illustrations by Anastasia Eli Caldereva. As I'd mentioned in my previous completed pictures for the month of March, I had started working on this page, and I had experimented with the alcohol markers, and Ashley's coloring journey. She had done a lovely tutorial showing me how to do the dress. So I wanted to really go back and work some more and really play with the markers and the Prismacolors and get a bit more experience behind me with the markers. So I used Inktense for the background, Prismacolors over markers, and white Sakura Jelly Roll. I am not a fan of her hair. I think the color of her hair is great, but I think I could have executed it a bit better. Again, because I wanted it to be quite a light blue, I erred on the side of less darker blues for the shadowed area. So I think I could have blended it out a lot better and maybe worked on it a bit slower or used polychromos. I cut the original page out of the book with a craft knife, and then I copied it onto Bristol board. I used a couple of reference photos for the jellyfish. I'm very proud of the skin tone and the way the dress is done. Not sure about the jellyfish, but in the end I'm proud of myself for finishing it, and I really couldn't have done it so well without Ashley's video, so a big thank you to Ashley for that. I then went to another page. Now this is a whip I had from 2021, so one of the first pages I started, and I've used Castle Arts for the picture and just basic chalk pastels from the hobby shop here in the UK, Hobbycraft, just their brand. And then I used a white Sakura Jelly Roll or white Uniball pen to create the bubbles. And I did that because I didn't like the way I blended the different shades of chalk pastel into each other. I built up her skin tone more. When I came back to it, she had quite a pale skin tone, and I really wanted a bright, vibrant, glowing skin tone. So I added some more yellows and oranges to her face. And I think she's turned out really well. So I'm very, very pleased with her. So that is my colorings in Mermaid Special with illustrations by Anastasia Eli Caldereva. Next I had some work in Hannah Carlson's books, and we'll start in Magical Dawn. Now Magical Dawn has become a bit of a safe place for me to experiment and try new things, and this particular page is my or was my tester page. I tested Neocolors on it and watercolor pencils, Prismacolors, various other pencils. And then in April, one of the boys wanted to paint Easter eggs, but I didn't want a big pile of paint mess in my life, so I bought them paint pens, and I went over the entire page almost, and I used paint pens to color the page in to complete it. I covered everything up. I used black paint pen or black Posca, and then I ran out, so I went on to black ink, which is why it looks funny here and matte here. And then the rest of this is paint pen, and the splots are white acrylic paint that I splotched around. So it's not my favorite work at all, but at least it's done, and I tried something new. I found I can't, layering paint pens doesn't work. They're good for just anything you want to do at a two-dimensional part of your coloring, but to layer them and blend them, it doesn't really work. So this was the best I could come up with, and I don't think it's particularly wonderful, but again, another whip done, and one more page to this book finished. And then I decided to play with some watercolors, and I went back to this page and I did a watercolor background, and I used the wet on wet method. So just took a paintbrush, applied water over everything, and then put the watercolor on and tried to blend it into each other. I was probably too heavy-handed with the water because it did bleed through quite a bit, so I'm going to have to think carefully about the background for this page when I get to it. But I'm not overly worried. I think I can make it work with a bit of effort and thought. So but I do think that the color combination will work, especially if I give her dark brown hair. So I did a little bit more on this page, and another page I dipped into was here. I just started evening out the wood, and so I'm trying to create a wood grain table and then a sky. So I'm also playing with clouds here, but I've used watercolor as a base for the background, and I need to still carry on working on this. So that's a little bit more I've done in Magical Dawn. And last but not least, we have Tales from the Midnight Masquerade, and I went and finished the Lady of the Sky, or the Lady of the Night, and I used Neocolor 2s in the backgrounds, a white Posca pen, white Uniball Signo, or white Sakura Jelly Roll. I used Dovecraft glitter, but on the dress to give it a shimmer. Polychromos pencils, and the blue dots are those little diamond art beads that you put on when you're doing your diamond painting. And then just little stars, glue-on stars. So I really am proud of how this double page spread has turned out. I think it's really, really beautiful. Probably some of my best work. And I'm really thrilled to have been able to have completed 2 pages in the Midnight Masquerade. And yeah, so I want to do a bit more in here, a bit more portraits. I really enjoy portraits, so looking forward to coming in and doing a bit more here. I'm quite keen to do these 2 pictures and create like quite a dark background into a lighter area, or maybe take a sponge and dab the watercolor or the Neocolor 2s and build up the background that way, because I find them quite fun. I want to do this one in reds and this one in blacks, with maybe silver, and then here I'll do reds and golds. So these 2 pages I'm really itching to get started on. And then for the inspiration for the Lady of the Night was Shamanella Art, and the color alongs I joined was Hannah's on 22, April in the Air, and Color Along 22 Hannah. So I quite enjoy finding the color alongs and joining them when I'm doing my pages. I tend to kind of find the pages I interested in completing, and then see which color along tags from Instagram match what I've been doing, and I find that works quite well. So that is my WIPs and completed works for the month. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for your time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below to see more of my completed pages, to join up in any color alongs or tutorials, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.